The Amachach military base in Tessalit was defended by roughly 800 Malian soldiers commanded by Colonel Kassim Goita, with 1,500 refugees being mostly Tuareg women and children. The International Committee of the Red Cross was sent to help evacuate civilians and military families, but despite the approval of the MNLA, Malian authorities delayed the operation and it was never executed as a humanitarian source. Other Malian military forces in the region of Tessalit were led by Colonels Didier Dako, Old Medao, and the well-respected Tuareg commander El Haji Akgamor. Timeline. On the 18th of January, Tessalit itself came under attack by both MNLA and Ansardine rebels. According to Malian soldiers, fighters from AQIM were present. On the 22nd of January, the MNLA announced they had surrounded the Malian army base in Tessalit and expected all foreign military trainers to evacuate the premises. The Amachach military camp is located about 15 kilometers from Tessalit itself. In a separate clash with the Malian army, 2 rebels were killed and a vehicle destroyed. By then, the number of MNLA fighters reached around 600 with reinforcements arriving from Libya and Niger. On the 10th of February, the Malian army launched an offensive to relieve the garrison in Tessalit. After a 2-week-long siege, the army deployed 107 all-terrain vehicles, 6 BRDM armored vehicles, and combat helicopters piloted by foreign mercenaries. The MNLA became aware of Malian army movements in the area, launching their own offensive, eventually meeting the army in the village of Tinsalane, 20 kilometers south of Tessalit. According to the MNLA, the planned transport convoy carrying Malian soldiers from the towns of Kidal and Anafif to strengthen the garrison of Tessalit was ambushed by a brigade of the MNLA. After several hours of fighting, Malian forces fled, leaving 17 dead and 14 prisoners, including their commander Yusuf Agbugra, along with 6 vehicles destroyed and 4 captured. According to residents of Inkalil located along the border with Algeria, dozens of rebel vehicles filled with injured fighters were accepted in Algerian hospitals. The Malian government announced the same day that the army defeated the rebels, killing 100 and capturing 50, which differs from the MNLA's previous claim of only losing 4 men. The overall outcome of the confrontation is disputed over with both sides, but it seems to have been more in favor of the rebels. As a month later Tessalit fell. On the 29th of February, the Malian defenders of Amachach military base launched several raids of their own in an attempt to break the rebel siege, with some elements of outside reinforcements. The MNLA cited that none of their fighters were killed during the clashes where the Malian army sustained losses. Clashes continued through the 1st of March, when the Malian army attacked MNLA positions surrounding the base, but failed in any way to diverge the rebels from the siege. On the 2nd of March, the MNLA announced that a total of 32 Malian soldiers have been killed, 20 wounded, and 3 vehicles destroyed in clashes over the past 2 weeks, leaving only 7 dead and 7 taken as prisoners in their ranks. On the 4th of March, the Malian army launched a second attempt to break the rebel siege of Tessalit by sending reinforcements backed by combat helicopters. The attack was eventually repulsed after 12 hours of fighting, but a helicopter was able to reach the Amachach military base to help collect the dead and wounded soldiers, with some bodies already in a state of decomposing. On the 8th of March, according to local sources in the town of Inkalil, 8 MNLA combatants died of the wounds they received in clashes with the army, with the 9th being taken to an Algerian hospital in Bordj Baji Mokhtar. On the 10th of March, in the early evening, the MNLA launched their final assault on Camp Amachach. Fighting continued until the 11th of March, when the Malian army fled their military base, leaving behind hundreds of weapons, mortars, rocket launchers, machine guns, and even tanks. Around 57 Malian soldiers, 5 officers were captured, with 10 vehicles and 2 BRDMs recovered. An important military arsenal along with a BRDM were both destroyed. The Malian army talked that their forces made a strategic withdrawal and evacuation of the Amachat military camp to shelter to civilians who had sought refuge and to prevent a massacre. Aftermath. After the rebel victory, the Malian army retreated to Gao, taking with them close to 800 people, mostly black Africans, with only 30 being Tuareg. The MNLA released a statement promising that they will treat their prisoners according to the Geneva Conventions of 1949, with a sick Malian soldier being handed over to Algerian authorities for care and 20 military families were handed over to the International Committee of the Red Cross. The Malian government responded to their defeat by calling on the international community, saying that the humanitarian situation is deteriorating, with crimes being committed by the rebels against civilians. In the statement it also indicated that the army fled Tessalit in part that it was unnecessary casualties to continue the prolonged battle.